with that down, let's go into kind of an unscheduled main topic number 5. And there's no email for this one because this one is just something I'm kind of bringing to you. Now, before we get into this, and you guys have seen the title of today's episode, which is the Superman stuff. Before we get into the Superman stuff, let me say something very clearly. In the world of movie news, all right, my site is Billy Bob's gas station movie reviews.fart. All right. In the world of movie news, I am an analyst, a pundit, a commentator. That's what we do on the job. We're not my YouTube channel is not a breaking news show. Very, very, very rarely do I ever get into this scoop thing. Like hardly ever. And so you should take anything, because I am not a legitimate news site. I'm a commentary site.
What?
Because of that, you have, when I give like breaking news and I'm saying I'm bringing something to you for the first time, you have to take it through the lens that I am not Variety. I am not The Wrap. Other YouTube channels, websites should not run with this story. They should not quote me. They should not run with this story because I am Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart compared to The Wrap and all these other legitimate news source sites. Okay. That being said, this is something that came to me yesterday, and I wrestled with whether we should even talk about it on the show. I wrestled with it so much, Rob, that I got on the phone with you.
Yep.
I called you yesterday, and I laid out what had been dropped on me. And I talked to you, said, is this something we should talk about? Because you know me, I don't like running the breaking news thing. I was still so distraught, I actually sought out a couple of other people as well. As a matter of fact, Harloff, like I got on the phone with Christian Harloff last night and said, okay, this is what's dropped on me. What do you think? Should we talk about this on my show or not? And everybody that I talked to said, yeah, we should do it. So let me lay this out for you and be very clear about what's going on here. We found out the other day that Henry Cavill was, it just so happened that this news dropped on the same day that I dropped that editorial on my case for Man of Steel that I had been working on for almost a week.
Which, by the way, you didn't plan. I've been asked if you did that, and like you had no idea.
No. I actually had some people. Why did that come up? I actually had some people say, "Oh, Campea, your sources told you that Henry Cavill was going to do that, and that's why you did that thing." I'm like, I'd like to think that was true. I would love to think that. Yeah, I had the inside scoop. I knew for a week that Henry Cavill thing was coming. I did not. I wish I did, but I wish I could tell you that a week before when I started working on that editorial that I knew that, but I didn't. I wish I could. I wish I did. I wish that was true, but I did not. But of course, anyway, the story came out that he was going to be back in talks. Now, of course, one of the things that I was concerned about, and you know me, there's Henry Cavill right behind me right there. You can see his arm. I love, and if you saw my editorial video on Man of Steel, you know how special of a place that movie has in my heart. The one thing that concerned me about the Henry Cavill news was that there was apparently no thought about a standalone Superman movie. It was all going to be Superman appearing in other people's movies. And my fear, because of how CW has treated their Superman as a jobber, that they were just going to bring in Superman to be a jobber. I said, I'm going to choose to believe they're not going to do that because they've treated Superman with a lot more respect in the movies. Like even in Justice League, love or hate Justice League, when like Superman is treated as the answer. And when Superman shows up, first he beats the asses of the entire Justice League by himself. And then when he shows up, he kicks Steppenwolf's ass from pillar to post. They treat Superman as Superman should be treated, as the granddaddy of all superheroes. So I'm going to believe they're going to treat him right. With that said, you guys will remember the other day that I told you that one of the guys who initially told me about the Ben Affleck situation, that Ben Affleck was indeed out as Batman. This was 2 years before they finally confirmed it. But 2 years before they confirmed it, one of the guys who informed me that Ben Affleck was indeed out as Batman got in touch with me again when the Snyder Cut stuff broke and it was supposed to cost $20 to $30 million. And I told you guys on the show that this guy got in touch with me and said, yeah, that ain't true. With a number that was actually floated was $70 million, not 20 to 30. And I told you guys about that on this show. And of course, it was Rob. I can't remember if it was the next day or 2 days later. The chairman of Warner Media and the head of HBO Max came out and said, yeah, it's way more than $30 million. His words were, I wish it was $30 million.
Yeah.
So that turned out legit as well. So take this with all the caveats that I've given before. I got reached out to by one of the guys who told me about the Batman situation that said, and I'm not going to quote directly here, but basically said this: J.J. Abrams is doing Superman. And what this person told me was the reason they're not making any announcements about standalone Superman right now is because they want J.J. to still have some flexibility to make those decisions. But it very well could be Henry Cavill. Following that, I reached out to the one individual who told me about the $70 million was the closer number to the Snyder Cut. Also was one of the three sources that told me about Batman, who confirmed what the first source said. Yeah, Abrams is doing Superman. But their thing was, and it's already settled, Henry Cavill is going to be J.J. Abrams' Superman. Now, whether J.J. Abrams is going to be the producer of that movie with his Bad Robot banner, or whether J.J. Abrams would be directing or writing, I don't know, but it'll be J.J. Abrams' Superman. J.J. Abrams has been given the guiding thing on Superman. Now, we know that there was talk in 2019 that JJ's response to the Superman stuff was, we haven't officially had any official discussions about that yet, which means they had already been talking about it over drinks. So again, to lay this out, I've been told by two separate sources, both of which have given me valid Warner Brothers information before. Not to mention, they were also the ones that told me about the Chris McKay and Nightwing situation. They were the ones who gave me that. And you guys remember, I was the first one to tell you guys about that. And they were the ones who gave me that information as well. They're both saying that J.J. Abrams is going to be doing Superman movies, but then they diverge a little bit. One saying that Henry Cavill could very well be that Superman. The other is saying, actually, no, Henry Cavill is going to be that Superman. So that's the information that has been given to me. And again, this is from the same sources who gave me the stuff about the cost of the Snyder Cut, the Ben Affleck leaving as Batman, and the Chris McKay stuff on Nightwing. Rob, you and I then got on the phone last night. Now, I'm just walking everybody through. This is the process of this. And I remember saying to you last night, I said, does this make sense? Is the information I'm being told, does it make sense with the things that we know that are facts? And I remember asking you that. I said, does this message, does this what I'm hearing sound like it lines up with reality? And Rob, what was your response to me when I asked, does this sound like it adds up? What was your response to me?
I said, it absolutely sounds like it adds up, because, and I pointed out to you that back in 2002, J.J. Abrams wrote a script. I mean, it was known as Superman Flyby, that first Brett Ratner was going to direct, and then McG was going to direct.
Actually, McG was going to direct it, and then Ratner came on, and then Ratner left, and then McG came back.
Right. It was a weird, but there was a lot of work done on this project. And when I was working on Superman Returns, I had all of the animatics that were done for Flyby, and a lot of those were adapted in Superman Returns in various ways. But the script was written, and what people don't understand a lot about how studios work is, if you write big properties like this and the studio's paid a lot of money, these projects linger. Speed Racer, I was reading Speed Racer scripts when I was at Warner Brothers in 1990, working there at Silver Pictures, and it took 15 years for Speed Racer, actually more, to get made, but it eventually got made. So the fact that Warner Brothers has made a gigantic deal with Bad Robot, and we've had TV shows, they're like, there's going to be a Green Lantern series or whatever. What better way to announce to the world that J.J. Abrams has come and put up his shingle at Warner Brothers than to announce that he's making the biggest movie, the biggest superhero. He's coming back to the biggest superhero that he's taken a crack at before. I would think that would be a natural. It's not something. And I also said about Henry Cavill, you don't bring a star. Hollywood doesn't work this way. If you're the star of 3 movies, your character, and the star of, say, Man from U.N.C.L.E., Warner Brothers has a history with Henry Cavill.
Don't forget The Witcher. Don't forget The Witcher.
And The Witcher, I mean, they're in the Henry Cavill business. You don't bring Henry Cavill back to play the supporting role in multiple movies. No, actors don't do that. They just don't. I mean, I believe that he would come in and do cameos in all of these movies, whether it's Aquaman 2 or, another Wonder Woman movie or Shazam or whatever. I believe that that's true. But, I mean, you're not in talks with the studio to come play supporting roles. You're in talks with the studio to come back and play the lead role in a lead movie. And Warner Brothers has Bad Robot and J.J. Abrams. And while I am not a fan of his feature film output, he's already worked for Warner Brothers on Superman before, different regime, different time, sure, almost 20 years ago. But I think it's fairly obvious if you look at if you're a student of Hollywood and how the business works, it makes sense. Now, they can't say that yet because it's not a done deal. And I can see that Henry Cavill, J.J. Abrams, they have to leave a director open to cast who he wants to cast in the lead role, because whoever's going to be cast in the lead role, it's probably going to be the thought that we're going to make 3 more movies with this person. But I also know, having watched all the casting for Flyby and for Superman Returns, it's really hard to find somebody to play Superman. And Henry Cavill is a great Superman.
And by the way, on Flyby, one of the guys, there was Ashton Kutcher was being looked at for Superman. There was another, I'm trying to remember who the other actor was, but then there was also a 21-year-old Henry Cavill was being looked at to play Superman at that time. Rob, here's why this rings so true for me. This is why this all kind of makes sense to me, and why I ultimately thought, okay, yeah, let's tell everybody. Listen, I decided to tell you guys what it is that's come across my desk. And here's why it rings true for me. Warner Brothers is going to do another Superman movie. I mean, that much is clear. J.J. Abrams wants to do that. Once he signed that $500 million development deal and brought Bad Robot and his shingle over to the Warner Brothers lot and all that kind of stuff, and he's already kind of acknowledged that they've at least talked about this stuff, his connection to Superman before, they're going to do it. The reason this rings so true for me is that if you're Warner Brothers, do you move forward with having Henry Cavill appear as Superman in an Aquaman 2 or a Shazam 2 if you're just going to do a standalone Superman movie with somebody else playing Superman? That makes no sense to me. That makes absolutely no sense to me. To me, it kind of says that if they are going to get Henry Cavill in these initial things, then that to me says, and I don't know this for a fact, but to me that says, oh yeah, so when you do Superman again, you got to be using Henry Cavill at this point. You have to be. And Rob, you pointed some stuff out to me in our phone conversation yesterday that just connects more of the dots to all of this. One, Henry Cavill appearing on the Zack Snyder stream when they announced the Zack Snyder cut. Two, the convenient timing of negotiations, which, by the way, these negotiations have been going on for a while. This isn't something new. These negotiations had been going on and look enough like a lock that they had Henry Cavill be on that stream with Zack Snyder for that announcement. Three, the fact that they're saying he's going to come back and be in these other things. Rob, when I look at that, I take this information that got passed on to me. To me, I feel like I can say, I think all the evidence points to that. I will say that I believe it is very likely at this point that we are going to see Henry Cavill back as Superman in an actual Superman movie. Because you also raised the other good point there, Rob. With maybe the exception of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who hasn't done a DC movie yet, by the way. They keep talking about it, but it still hasn't happened. He's the biggest movie star there is in the DC realm right now. There's nobody else who's a bigger movie star, not to mention with, The Witcher was like the #1 show on Netflix, broke all sorts of records for them. He is the biggest star they have right now. Does Henry Cavill, with all the clout he has right now, get all excited, as you were saying, about coming into playing a supporting role? Woo! I'm going to come back and play a supporting role when I've been the lead as this character before in this. So the one hitch to me is that even though I have both of these sources telling me that, yeah, JJ is going to be doing Superman, whether or not that means director or producer, and he goes out and gets another director to work with him as a producer, I don't know. Even though one says it's pretty much a done deal already, Cavill's going to do it. The other one is saying that it could be Cavill. It very well could be that, but the other source wasn't sure. So there's still, even in my sources, a little bit of an ambiguity thing there. But yeah, I want to just be careful when I tell everybody, don't take anything I'm saying here as fact, because I mean, there's still some wiggle room there. But I think from everything that we've been seeing and hearing, when you look at all the dominoes that are being lined up, I'll call it. I think it's very, very likely that within the next 6 months, we're going to hear that Henry Cavill is starring as Superman again. Now, remember, the Ben Affleck thing, it took 2 years for that to get verified. It took 2 years from when I first told people that Ben Affleck was indeed out. It took them 2 years to come out and come clean about it. So I don't know how long it's going to take to find this out, or we might find out in 3 months. Guess what, everybody? Tom Cruise is the new Superman. I mean, maybe that happens. But I think at this point, it feels safe to say that we're going to see it. It's going to happen. Rob, given what we've been told, and given all the facts that we already know from the stuff that you laid out, what do you feel the likelihood is that we're going to see Henry Cavill actually playing Superman here in a lead as a lead in a movie of his own?
100%. Because and I say 100% because the fact that, look, people need to understand that the fan pundit community needs to understand when stories come out in the legitimate journals, Deadline, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, when they finally drop, for the most part, they are already done deals. It's just you're hearing about these things take months. I mean, Henry Cavill being on that live stream with Zack Snyder, the Hollywood Reporter story, which talked about Toby Emmerich going to Zack Snyder 6 months ago, they've spent the last 6 months getting the Snyder cut in order to the point where they can actually make it, because it is a very interesting situation. And when we have the head of Warner Media talking about, well, there was a lot of negotiating that we had to do, we had to talk to guilds, everything that we've been saying on this show, John, for the last 6 months was true. Because the business of Hollywood works the same way. It's not like they're reinventing the business. And I'll tell you something. Are you kidding me? Do you think after Mission Impossible Fallout that someone like Dwayne Johnson wouldn't want to play Black Adam and fight Superman in this movie? Like,
oh, and they're friends. Don't forget, I believe they have the same manager, and they're friends in real life.
Oh, the thing about it is, everything about Henry Cavill coming back to play Superman is the stars are so aligned, and like, I don't know how you would work Dwayne Johnson into a Black Adam movie and all that, but we already saw Superman at the end of Shazam. We just didn't see Henry Cavill's face, but Superman was there. So are you kidding? I mean, do you think that if Black Adam is beating up on Shazam, that Shazam's friend is not going to show up at the end of that movie and say something like, Black Adam, would you care to step outside? You know, and render aid to the Marvel family? Are you kidding me? I mean, who wouldn't go bananas watching that movie? And that's how you bring Superman back to Warner Brothers and DC. And once Superman renders aid at the end of Black Adam, what are they going to have right on that launch pad? J.J. Abrams, Superman, starring Henry Cavill. People would go bananas. And I'll tell you something. It's the right thing to do. It's from a business standpoint. You can't lose. They're already spending how many tens of millions of dollars on the Snyder Cut. They're reestablishing Henry Cavill's character sans mustache because Zack Snyder already shot most of that movie. And if you're in the business with Henry Cavill, you think Henry Cavill's not going to come back and do any reshooting that he might need to do for Justice League, you know, to get over. I mean, it's all from a business standpoint, all of these things, by the way, it's already been done. Whatever they've decided to do, it's already happened. We just don't have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed. We'll hear about it as it comes along. And as the world reemerges from being shut in and production begins, we're going to hear a lot about this. But right now, there's no reason to drop this news. They've given us enough. They've given fans enough. You got the Snyder Cut. You've got the confirmation that Henry Cavill's in talks. And if he's in talks, it means they're out of talks. They just haven't decided to release the actual news. I mean, I think it's great. I'm excited. 100% though. He's going to star in another Superman movie.
Yeah, and listen, I've got to also admit something, and because I'm sure there's a bunch of people already thinking this, and I got to admit something. I may be looking at this through a little bit of rose-colored glasses, and I admit that because in 2013, a lot of people keep telling me they started following me when they first saw my Man of Steel review in 2013, and how much I love that. You guys know I just did that editorial. You guys who've watched my show for any period of time know how much I love this particular guy standing behind me, Henry Cavill. He is my favorite Superman of all time. I think it's one of the greatest. You guys know my thing. So I will admit there's a possibility here that wittingly or unwittingly, I might be looking at all this information through the rose-colored glasses that I am admittedly a Henry Cavill as Superman fanatic. So I have to admit that. It's true. So maybe I'm looking at this through a little bit of a lens of bias and kind of coming to these conclusions because it's what I want to be true. Now, I'm not saying that is the case. I'm just saying I have to acknowledge that there's a possibility that there might be some of this that's because I want it to be true. And that's fair. That's fair. But go ahead, Rob. What were you going to say?
Well, I want to point out something that even though Justice League did not work, and the Snyder Cut notwithstanding, Aquaman did phenomenal business. Who would have ever thought it would have made over $1 billion? Wonder Woman did phenomenal business. Ben Affleck never got his standalone Batman movie. I think if they made another standalone movie, I mean, Man of Steel, sure, they might have thought it was going to make $1 billion, but if you look at what the Marvel Cinematic Universe did with the introduction of its individual characters, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Man of Steel outgrossed all of those movies. And the way the superhero genre has evolved since Man of Steel came out, you do a Man of Steel movie, you do another Superman movie with Henry Cavill, with J.J. Abrams directing, I think you're about as assured of $1 billion gross as you could possibly be, because everybody still likes all of those characters. And remember, the fan community forgets we're very vocal because we're always talking to each other and watching each other's videos and talking amongst ourselves about our fandom. The general population, for the most part, liked Henry Cavill as Superman. They're not as critical as we are, and we tend to believe our own conclusions when sometimes they're not supported by the actual facts. So the fact is, you put Henry Cavill in a Superman movie directed by J.J. Abrams with the kind of visuals he brings to his films, I think it's a Bad Robot's happy, J.J. Abrams is happy, Cavill is happy, and fans will be happy. And Warner Brothers is going to make $1 billion. So
there you go. The question for you guys is, what do you think about all that? Taking what I have been informed of, taken by what we've seen, what are you thinking about that? Do you think J.J. Abrams just comes in and says, I'm going to produce this, and he brings on a director to work with him? Maybe he directs it himself. Little thing here. Actually, I'm just getting a message here. 1 second. Let me bring this up. Somebody is writing to me. Somebody saying, check Henry Cavill's Facebook feed and the photo that he just dropped. So I'm going to do that right now. Hold a second. I should be doing this. Henry Cavill Facebook. Let me see if I can even find his Facebook page. Let's see here. Apparently he just dropped a picture. And it's Henry Cavill in a gym. Here's the picture that just kind of came out. It's Henry Cavill taking. Look at the freaking silhouette on Henry Cavill. Jeez, that guy's a genetic freak. And he's in the gym there, and his caption there is "Hello, old friend." Now, of course, that just might mean him saying that he hasn't been in the gym in a while. Although when I look at that physique, that silhouette, you can't tell me that he hasn't been in the gym in a while. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. The question, though, guys, is simply this. What do you think about that? Are we going to see Henry Cavill? That the die is already cast. Warner Brothers has already made their decision. J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot is doing a Superman movie, and it's going to be Henry Cavill, and they're just not telling us officially yet. What do you guys think about that? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.